Hey guys, so this is going to be a tutorial for a pom-pom spider. I guess I could call it the itty bitty spider. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, let me just grab him. It's this little guy. The supplies that you will need will be two 3mm pom-poms in the color of your choice. You will need a piece of wire. This is scrap wire for my gem trees. It's 24 gauge purple wire. You could use 26 gauge or 22 gauge, just whatever you have. You will need some thread of your choice. I've just got some white thread here. And you will need a pair of pliers and a pair of wire cutters and some scissors. If you want to paint on the pom-pom spider, you certainly can do that after it has finished drying. So, you will also need some E6000 glue. I wouldn't recommend using hot glue. It's not going to be strong enough. Thin PVC glue is not going to be strong enough. Anything that takes a super long time to dry will not be a very good choice either. So E6000 is what I would recommend personally. So the first thing that you want to do, and for this tutorial I'm going to be using 5mm pom-poms, 5mm. This is what a 3mm looks like, but since how it's so tiny, I'm going to be using a 5mm just so that you can see it better. You can certainly use 5mm. You can use whatever size you want, really. But for the itty bitty spiders, you need to use the smallest, which is the 3mm. But for this tutorial, I'm going to be using 5mm so that you can see it easier. So the first thing that you want to do is grab one of your pom-poms and your E6000 glue and put a little dot of glue right on the end. You don't need much, but you definitely need a little bubble there. And set your glue aside. Now you want to hold this pom-pom until the glue has gotten slightly tacky, and what you want is for a skin to form over the glue bubble. Usually with E6000 it takes about a minute, so depending on what brand you use, it may have different times as to when it will get tacky and form that skin. And when it forms the skin, it helps adhere to whatever you're sticking it onto, which in this case is the other pom-pom. If you stick it on right away, the pom-poms are just going to fall apart. So you just need to hold it and let it get tacky for just a second. And E6000, I've tried so many different glues on pom-poms. And pom-poms used to be my arch nemesis on materials. Now it's felt, but ever since I discovered how well E6000 works on pom-poms, they're actually really fun to put on projects now. So once it's got that skin over it, like I said, for E6000 takes about a minute. You want to take your second pom-pom and just stick it right on the glue dot. And just set those two pom-poms off to the side. Next, you want to take your scrap wire and your wire cutters, and you want to cut about 1-inch lengths. You want to cut pieces that are approximately 1 inch. You do not need to get exact measurements here. it's going to be longer than you're actually going to want the legs to be on your spider, but you really need to have something to grasp onto when you're twisting the wires. That's why you have to do 1 inch. And when you're making these spiders, you want to have an excess of material so that you can trim things down, because you can't add wire to your spider legs. You can only take it off. So just make the wire longer than you need it to be, which is going to be about 1 inch. And you need 4 pieces. So once you have your 4 pieces of wire, just bundle them together. And how I find it easiest to twist this wire together when it's such a short length like this is I grab 2 pieces of wire in one hand and 2 in the other, and then I kind of cross it like this to make an X. And you only want to do a couple twists in the middle of these pieces of wire. You do not want the twist to be very much, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So once you form the 2 pieces of wire in each hand, form the X, and then you usually do it about 2 times so that you have this shape. And this is starting to come apart, of course. And you basically just want it so that the wire is sticking together. I'm going to go ahead and give it another twist here. And that's what you want to end up with. And you're going to have 4 wires on each side because spiders have 8 legs. So don't worry about bending it like this, or bending the legs to the way you want it at this point. You want to leave it like this, because if you start bending the wires back and making it more proper looking for spider legs, you run the risk of untwisting the center. So just leave it like that. Next you need to cut a piece of string or a thread. Like I said, you can do whatever color you want. If you don't plan on hanging your spiders, you can go ahead and skip this part, but if you want to hang your spiders off of something, then you need to add the thread to it. There is no exact measurement that you need to cut your thread at. Just cut it at an excess so that you can trim some length off if you need to, because you can't add the length, you can only take length away. So I cut it at probably about 10 inches, and usually I only need about 3-4 inches when I'm hanging my spiders, but like I said, I like to keep things longer because I don't know what project I plan on putting these on. Alright, so once your 2 pom-poms have had a second to just sit and get a little bit tacky, see if I can just zoom in a little bit for you. There we go. Take your E6000 again, and you want to put a glue dot right in the center of the 2 pom-poms. Just like that. Then take your string and you want to lay the string across the 2 pom-poms. It's okay if there's a tail, coming off the other end, because you can just cut that off. Lay it in the center as much as possible across the two pom-poms. It can be a little bit finicky, especially when you're working with the 3mm. It's a little bit easier working with these 5mm, but the 3mm pom-poms can take just a little bit more time to tinker with. So once you have the string laid across the two pom-poms, then you want to take your legs and lay them in the center of the two pom-poms that are glued together over the string, and just press down and let this dry. So that's what you'll end up with. So I'm just setting that aside. Now I have a spider that I've made earlier that I have let properly dry, because I wanted to show you how to bend the legs and trim the legs to a more appropriate size for the spiders. Oops, that's the spider I just made. Okay. So I'm going to take my pliers, and with my fingers I'm just going to separate, and then relatively close to the body, and I'm pinching the body with my thumb and pointer finger, because I don't want to rip the legs off the body. And I'm just bending the legs down like this, one at a time. And separating them. Now these legs are obviously much longer than I want, which is fine. Then you want to take your wire cutters and just trim them all to approximately the same length. And they don't have to be exact, obviously. And the last thing that you want to do is just trim off the tail right there. I don't know if it's going to focus. There you go. And there's your little spider. Now, if you want to paint a face on them, you can. I usually just take a wooden skewer and dip it in paint. One thing with pom-poms, though, is that once you make the face on your spider, and I usually just do 2 dots for the eyes, and then I'll do a little triangle on the bottom of the spider to make it look like a black widow. With pom-poms, it'll kind of absorb the layer of paint that you put on. So once you do your eyes in whatever pattern you want on the pom-pom, you want to let that dry and then go back and repaint over it so that you can get the really great vibrant details. Otherwise it's going to look very dull and you're not going to be able to see it very well on the first coat. So paint it once, let it dry, and then repaint it. So I hope you guys like the tutorial. I really like these spiders. The more I watch the spiders outside my window, the more I seem to enjoy them. So, anyways, have fun making spiders, and I don't know, let me see a video if you guys make them. Thanks for watching.